Hi everyone, my name is Jagriti and I am a business professional with 11 years of experience across the energy and the banking industries. Presently, I love researching about sustainability, particularly sustainable finance, and this video is about the various scenarios that the NGFS has developed for the larger community. Now, NGFS is the network for greening the financial system. It's a voluntary network of central banks across the globe, and it works towards mobilizing mainstream finance for environmentally sustainable growth. Now, these scenarios provide a uniform benchmarking for various purposes, which can be either climate related financial disclosures, both by financial and non financial institutions, for various policy making or even for further academic research. Now, transition risks means risks arising from changes in climate policy and related technology, whereas physical risks are risks because of climate change itself, which means the direct impact of climate change, which can be floods, earthquakes, etc., etc., right? At the extreme left and down is the net zero 2050 scenario, which assumes that stringent climate policies are implemented right away, and this is coupled with accelerated CO2 removal from the atmosphere via various technologies. This will enable us to reach net zero CO2 emissions by 2050 and give us 50% chance of limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. At the extreme right of the graph, and the opposite scenario to it, is the current policies scenario, which assumes that no change in policies is done. We continue as is, and hence we would be able to limit the global temperature rise to only 3 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. This scenario, if you observe, is on the extreme right on the x-axis physical risks, which means because we don't apply decent level of CO2 removal from the atmosphere and we don't implement any change in the current policies, there is a high risk of climate change, physical risks associated with it, which may be in form of earthquakes, floods, in fact higher sea levels, which will be irreversible. So these two are the extremes, and there are various other scenarios depending upon the degree of variation. For example, there is a below 2 degrees Celsius scenario as well, which assumes that changes in policies are implemented, and they are right away, and they are not as stringent as the net zero 2050 scenario, but they are made more stringent gradually, and this is coupled with optimum CO2 removal from the atmosphere, thus helping us limit the global temperature rise to 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. There's another scenario of the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, and a few others as well. Now, the details of these scenarios are provided on the NGFS scenario portal. They have also listed the key indicators and the varying degrees of these indicators for each scenario. Indicators being, for example, decarbonization of electricity, decarbonization of agriculture and transport, CO2 removal from the atmosphere, and a few others. So whoever is interested can visit the portal and study it in detail and utilize it for their own use. Lastly, this is my first YouTube video, and why am I making it? because, as I said, I love researching about sustainable finance because it helps me merge my two experiences across the financial and the energy sectors. And making a video along with my personal study would not just help me stay on track and sort of pep up the process for me, but also may prove resourceful to the viewers. So, yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.